Hey everybody, and welcome back to Bar Run Forge. It's another Monday morning tool video. This is Troy, and today we're going to talk about drifts. Stick around. So drifts, what are they? Drifts are these pieces of equipment or these tools that we use in the shop to make a hole to a specific dimension. For example, we may have this drift. This is called a hammer eye drift, and we will drive through hot steel to get the shape that we want in a piece of steel. For example, this right here, through this. So this is designed just for hammer eyes. We have a square drift. If you punch a square hole and you want a square, for example, like a tenon, you punch a hole and you drive this through, all the way through, so that it meets the proper dimension of what you're trying to do. Now you can do a tapered drift as well. This is a long tapered drift to get round holes to a specific size. You can mark that down to a certain length or a certain dimension so you know exactly what you're getting, and you get a bit of a tapered hole. There's also things like this tomahawk drift or for a hatchet, so you get a specific eye out of that one. Now we don't have all of them. Obviously there are hundreds and thousands of different sizes and dimensions and styles of drifts. You can even use your round punch or a punch to drift the hole out to a certain dimension, and we use that very often for things like this. So if you're going to punch a hole and you want a specific size hole in your work, you need to drift it or drill it. And often we use, with many of ours, a 5/16. Now, to do that, you need a 5/16 inch drift. If you wanted to do a 3/8 inch hole, you would drift it to 3/8 in hot work. If you wanted a 1/4 inch hole, same thing there, on and on and on. So you can have innumerous amounts of drifts. But today, we're going to do one specifically for something like this, and we're going to make a 5/16, very short drift, a 5/16 drift, out of this piece of coil spring steel. So we'll do that, and then we'll punch a hole in something, and then we'll get it hot and drift this through and make a specific 5/16 inch hole. So let's get to it. Tools needed for this project will be our hand hammer, a set of tongs to hold the stock, and then we'll move over to the swedge block, and we'll need, as you can see, we've got to bring it down just a little bit more. This is pretty close to our stock. And what we'll do is, this is already tapered a little bit. The piece of stock we just found was kind of tapered, so we'll taper it down just a little bit more. And then we got to taper it on this end so that it goes through the stock all the way through and makes exact hole in kind of this area right here. So this piece, even though it's smaller, still needs to go down a little bit, and we're going to taper that down. Got to start with a square. Take the edges off. Next heat, we can round it up, put a little bit of a finish on it too. All right, now with this done right here, we've still got a little bit of straightening, and we're definitely not done with the finish on it. We want it as smooth as possible so it doesn't leave any rag. I'm going to flip it around, grab it with the other end of the tongs, and then we'll work this section here till we get our exact dimension. All right, now that we have a pretty good dimension on there, we'll get the swedge block out and we'll just kind of round it into that and then clean it up. Then we'll do a little bit of sanding and this is done. Well, not a complicated build, but it's something we very much need here in the shop. It's very important that we get those holes the right size. When we put fasteners in, they need to be approximately the right size. And for example, on this one, as we looked at before, we can take the drift and work it through. Now it's pretty tight in there, so it's pretty cool for us because it needs to be tight. We can just simply pound that right on through, falls to the ground. It'll work the same on our flat stock as well. So we've got a hole that's exactly the size that we need. And we got to pay attention to that. That's one of the things that we have to do here in the shop is that, you know, one of our punches will punch a hole bigger than the hole that we're needing for these. So it's very important that we drift these out to the right size. And it's also very important that we take heed or we listen to what is said in Hebrews chapter 2, verse 1. It says, so we must listen very carefully to the truth we have heard, or we may drift away from it. If we don't listen to what God has to tell us, it's very easy for us to get drawn away or to drift away from the truth that is in Jesus Christ. He himself said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man comes to the Father but by me. Make sure that we listen carefully, that we pay attention to what God is telling us and what others are telling us about God so that we don't drift away. from the truth that is Jesus Christ. Thank you guys so much for coming in and joining us on another Monday morning tool video. Make sure you check us out on all the social media and the website. That's www.barrunforge.com. That's BARRUNFORGE.com. Thanks again for coming in. God bless you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.